They'll realize that silence was never a sign of weakness, it was a warning. That's the paradox of silence. They never anticipate it. They're so accustomed to noise, to chaos, to people who react in anger when provoked. But when you remain unmoved, just staring back with an unyielding gaze, it gnaws at them. It makes their fingers twitch, stumbles their words, because they expect you to fight, to shout, to justify yourself. When you don't, it forces them to fill that void with their own guilt, fears, and insecurities, and that's when they begin to crumble. Piece by piece, strand by strand, they try to convince themselves they're still in control. But the moment you stop playing their game, you strip them of that control. Deep down, they know it. That's why they keep pushing, because they crave the moment when you finally break, when you finally give them that reaction to prove them right. But you won't, will you? No, you'll maintain that implacable silence. That unnerving calm that leaves them staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., wondering what's really going on behind your eyes. The loudest screams are the ones that never sound. The most dangerous individuals are those who have perfected the art of saying nothing at all. They're banking on your need to be understood, to clear your name, to set things straight. That's the bait they dangle before you, glittering and enticing, hoping you'll take the bait. They want you to stand there, flushed and desperate, pouring your soul out to ears that long since stopped listening. But you're smarter than that, aren't you? You know that explanations are just traps, snare disguised as olive branches. The more you explain, the guiltier you seem. The more you defend yourself, the more it appears you have something to hide. So you remain silent. You let them chatter, spin their webs of lies and half-truths, while you observe, wait, and note every mistake, every inconsistency. That's what sets you apart from them. They fill the void with meaningless noise, while you flourish in the quiet. They exhaust themselves trying to be heard. And there you are, patient and unyielding, allowing them to dig deeper into their own self-destruction with every word they utter. Silence makes them squirm, forces them to confront themselves. Most people would rather tear themselves apart than spend even a few minutes alone with their thoughts. But not you. You've spent enough time in solitude to learn that silence isn't your enemy. It's a weapon, a scalpel that slices through the layers of deceit. It's the mirror that reflects the true monsters they are. You've witnessed it, how they start fidgeting, stammering, when you simply return their gaze without a word. Their voices elevate, quicken, desperate to fill the void, and it's almost darkly amusing. Watching them unravel while you stand there, arms crossed, eyes icy, saying nothing at all, that's genuine power, kid. Not in how loud you can scream, but in how resolutely you remain silent when the world expects you to react. You might think that revenge means inflicting pain equal to what they caused you. But real revenge, the kind that lingers, that haunts them long after the dust has settled, comes from your silence, from walking away without a backward glance, without giving them the satisfaction of witnessing your pain. Nothing infuriates them more than realizing they never mattered enough to break you, that all their schemes, whispers, and backstabbing didn't even warrant a response. That's what keeps them awake at night. The uncertainty, the endless wondering if you're still out there, watching, waiting for the moment to strike back. Perhaps you are still waiting, or maybe you've moved on, leaving them to stew in their own guilt and paranoia. And that's the beauty of silence. They'll never be sure. That uncertainty, that creeping dread, is what ultimately destroys them. In the end, they convince themselves they've got you figured out. They believe they've won simply because you stopped arguing, stopped explaining yourself. They assume silence equates to defeat, as if you've given up. But you and I both know that silence is a strategy. The calm before the storm, the deep breath before the decisive strike. You're not finished. Not by a long shot. You're simply observing, waiting, noting every move they make, every flaw, every vulnerability. Because when you do act, it won't be in a burst of anger or desperation. It will be cold, calculated, almost surgical. No wasted words, no messy emotions, just a quiet, ruthless efficiency. And by the time they realize what's happening, it will be far too late. That's the strength of silence. It allows you to plan, to transform every slight into ammunition. They'll never see it coming because they're too preoccupied with celebrating their supposed victory. They convince themselves they've won. But you, with your unwavering patience, know better. Revenge isn't about quick retaliation, it's about precision. You've held your tongue for too long, biting back anger, letting them believe they have the upper hand. Yet silence isn't a promise of peace, it's the pressure building up, like a dam on the verge of bursting. The loaded bullet, the sheath knife, just because you're not screaming doesn't mean you're not dangerous. Quite the opposite, in fact. The quiet ones, who endure every hit without flinching and smile even with blood on their lips, are the ones to watch. When they finally do snap, it won't be wild or loud. It will be cold, calculated, and satisfying. Final. No second chances, no mercy. No long-winded justifications. Just decisive, silent action. So keep your mouth shut. Let them think they've triumphed. Let them laugh, toast your downfall, pat themselves on the back. If you must, smile, nod, play along. Because every word they utter, every smug grin and whispered lie, is just another strand of rope tightening around their own necks. All you have to do is wait for them to choke on it, and they will, as they always do. People like that, they eventually self-destruct. It just takes time. Time and a lot of silence. So, step back, keep your conscience clear, and watch the chaos unfold. When the fires die down, there will be nothing left of them but ashes and regret. And you'll still be standing there, quiet, unbroken, with a cold, knowing smile that says it all.